Hi, it's Alaska Granny. What's one of the scariest emergencies that we can think of? To me, it's an earthquake. They come with no warning. We don't know how big they're going to be, how long they're going to last, and how much damage there's going to be. If you live in the western part of the United States, you've probably experienced a few earthquakes. And that doesn't mean, though, that if you live somewhere else that you aren't at risk for an earthquake. They happen all over the world. There's earthquakes happening every single day somewhere in the world, but most of them are very faint and then we don't feel them. They need to be approximately a 3 on the Richter scale for us to recognize that an earthquake is taking place. It's prudent then for everyone to have an earthquake preparedness kit. And an earthquake emergency kit can help you through all kinds of emergencies, not just earthquakes. But if you're thinking about that earthquakes could happen, what do I need to do? What's the first thing I need to do to make sure that I'm going to be okay? Then getting your gear together is the first thing. You might want to put it in a backpack because sometimes our shelter becomes damaged. We can't stay there. We can grab our bag and we can evacuate. A bucket also works great. You can get free buckets at the grocery store. Fill them up as well. They're not as handy to carry around, but they are great at keeping your gear together and storing it. What's the first thing you need to do if you feel an earthquake? You need to drop, duck, cover, and hold on. Get under something like a table. Don't run out away from wherever you are. People trip, and as they're going outdoors, the doors can slam and harm them. Bricks can fall off and hurt you. The best, most prudent thing to do is to get down under something and hang on. Get under a table and hang on. Things are going to be dropping everywhere, and that's your safest bet, is to hold in place until it's over. The first thing after an earthquake you need to assess is first aid. Is anybody injured? Because injuries can be very extreme after an emergency. There can be people who have tripped and fallen, broken their leg. Heavy things can fall on them and crush them. So it's very important that you have a substantial first aid kit. Make that the first thing you put into your earthquake preparedness kit. Learn first aid and be prepared to help those around you who might need it. After an earthquake, you also need to be completely aware of damage. There might be a gas leak. Do not, under any circumstances, light anything that has a flame, because if there is a gas leak, it can cause a terrible explosion. You may have seen on the news before where whole neighborhoods just going up like a fireball because there was a gas leak. If you have natural gas in your home, figure out where your meter is and get a tool that allows you to turn off your gas meter. But remember, it's not something you practice. You only want to turn it off after an emergency, and then don't turn it back on yourself. The reason you don't want to turn it back on, different gas appliances have pilot lights, and if they go out when you've turned the gas off and then you turn it back on, then it may be allowing gas to escape in your home where it wouldn't have been otherwise. So it's very important that you turn the gas off and you leave it off until a professional comes and examines your gas lines and your pilot lights. You need a pair of sturdy work gloves. There will be debris, broken glass, fallen things. You need to protect yourself from further injury. Make sure you have a sturdy pair of gloves and some sturdy shoes to protect your feet. What's the safest light source after an earthquake? Flashlights and glow sticks. Glow sticks, you snap them and shake them, and they are completely contained within the little tube, and there's nothing in them that can start a fire. They come with hooks and holes so you could string them together, hang them around. There's a lot of ways you can use a glow stick to light up an area after an emergency like an earthquake. Flashlights and headlamps are a great way to have a source of light after an earthquake. Make sure you have extra batteries in your preparedness kit. A headlamp is nice because you can put it on your head. It leaves both hands free to do any work, clearing debris or rendering first aid or just finding your way around. A headlamp is great. Have a fire extinguisher. In an emergency, such as an earthquake, cars may not be able to get through, power lines are down, water lines might be broken, and there may not be any rescue workers available to come and you need to be able to protect yourself in the first line of defense. Having a fire extinguisher is a wonderful way to help ensure that if a fire does break out, that you can help fight it first defense. Fire extinguishers expire, so make sure that you're checking it, that it's fully loaded, and then you want to remember pass. You want to pull the pin, aim it, squeeze, and sweep it across. I made a video about how to use a fire extinguisher. I'll put a link to it so you can learn more about that. If your home is damaged or you're unsure if it's structurally safe, seek shelter out of doors. That's where it's nice to have something like a life bivvy, which is an emergency sleeping bag. It's 7 feet long, it's 36 inches across, and it'll fit nearly anyone inside this emergency sleeping bag. The inner layer is a reflective edge to reflect back your body heat. It's sealed up on 3 sides. You climb in, and it can help protect you from all kinds of inclement weather. A life tent is also a great idea because this is like a tube tent. It's made out of the same heavy-duty reflective material as the life bivvy, but it's large enough that several people could shelter inside of it. It comes with a section of paracord so that you can string it up between 2 trees, 2 poles from a porch rail. You can spread it out into a triangular tent shape. Then there will be plenty of room to protect you from all kinds of inclement weather. If it's very hot and you need protection from the sun, turn the life bivvy inside out, so the silver reflective side is pointing away from you and reflecting the heat of the sun back away from you and helping to keep you cool. Put it in the shade if you can get some on a very hot day. Try to use the natural shade that's around you, and if there isn't any, you can provide some for yourself with something as simple as a life tent. Signaling for help can be very important, and the nice thing about the life bivvy and the life tent is they both come with a drawstring pouch, and on the end of the drawstring is an emergency whistle. It's 120 decibels. It's loud enough to signal and be heard. I made a video on how to signal for help. I'll put a link to that video so that you can learn how to signal with a whistle if you're trapped in an emergency situation. It's nice to have some emergency blankets, some ponchos, maybe something as simple as a plastic tarp, black plastic garbage bags, some duct tape, zip ties, and paracord. If your home is damaged, you can use some of these items to cover over broken windows or lay it over, say, if there's a hole on your roof from something fell through. We never know what the damage can be from an earthquake, so be prepared for lots of fallen debris, broken glass, and perhaps you'll need to have a few things to shelter and close up and protect yourself from the elements. The next thing you need to worry about is water. Lots of times the water mains will break, or the water treatment plants, the mechanisms have been disturbed, and the water is no longer safe to drink. Your first defense is going to be the stored water that you have. Make sure you've stored at least 1 gallon per person for several days. Earthquake rescue can take longer than a lot of other types of emergencies because the rescue crews just can't get through. It can totally knock out the infrastructure. The roads aren't safe, the water isn't safe, the gas and electrical lines don't work. It can just be devastating to a wide range of an area. So it's important that you have the water that you need so that you can stay safe and hydrated. Even if your water is still running, it may be suspect. Get some water treatment purification tablets. There are several different kinds available. You drop them in the water, stir them around, and allow them to sit. Depending on which ones you use, they need to sit in the water for 30 minutes to 4 hours. So choose carefully and follow the directions carefully so you make sure you have safe water. If you're stuck out of doors and you can only find wild water that has lots of flock in it. Flock is all of the floating debris and matter. A handy thing would be these PG&E purification water packets. Scoop up water in a bucket, and each packet will purify 2.5 gallons. So you can scoop up 2.5 gallons of water in a bucket or something, add this packet and stir it for 5 minutes, and then wait 20 minutes. The contents collect all of the debris, the bacteria, the cysts, and even viruses, and it sinks to the bottom. And all of the flock sinks to the bottom into a brown layer at the bottom, and the water above it is safe to drink. I took some of these on a trip to Mozambique a few years ago. They came with a water backpack. I'll put a link to that video so you can see how well these work in the most extreme dirty water conditions. These things are something your life can depend on, and I highly recommend them. Next, you're going to need some food. This isn't a time to start cooking. This is a tear open and eat emergency situation. Stock up on some shelf-stable foods, canned foods, packaged goods, granola bars, even something like a Datrex bar. Emergency food that's designed to have enough food in one package for 3 days. If you have pets, make sure you have some emergency food for your pets in there. If you have babies, make sure you have the food that they would require. Make sure you have the things that each family member would need. Does someone in your family need prescription medicine? Have some in your emergency kit. Does someone in your family need hearing aids? Make sure that you have the batteries for that. As you go through your day-to-day life, think about the things you depend on, the things you couldn't get along without, and make sure some of that is in your emergency earthquake kit, your bug out bag, your 72-hour kit, and any kind of an emergency kit that you put together. Tools, pocket knives, multi-tools, even emergency can openers. Have some hygiene supplies to help make your life bearable until things get back to normal. If you're basically trapped in your neighborhood because of fallen debris, fallen trees, the street lights don't work, the roads are cracked, an emergency radio could be your lifeline to know what's going on. I like the Eaton Scorpion because it's wind up. It also has a solar panel. It has a flashlight. It has AM/FM radio. And it includes a USB charger. If you needed to charge up your phone, you could do that. It has a nice carabiner clip, so you can hook it to your backpack, your belt loop, or your jacket. Have a way to find out what's going on. Make sure the USB cord fits your phone. Then you'll be able to charge up your phone and be able to get in touch with those that are most important to you. You also need a copy of your most important papers. Always have a copy of your identification, things like your driver's license, your passport, your social security card, your medical information, your insurance company, your bank information. Have a copy of that in every single emergency bag that you need. We never know where we'll be or what emergency it will be or which bag we might need. If you're away from home, have it with your office emergency kit. If you're in your car, have it with your car emergency kit. The more ways we prepare and the more things we're prepared to face, the easier it is to deal with what's coming. The more flexible we are in our thinking, that we can figure out what to do next. Have a substantial amount of cash in small bills. You may be able to buy some things that you need. You may be able to go and pay for a hotel room in a safer location. You may be able to pay someone to drive you out of an emergency area. Having cash on hand with your emergency gear can really be a lifesaver. Before an earthquake hits where you live, put together an earthquake kit. If you've already put together other emergency gears, bug out bags, get home kits, 72-hour bags, think about them in terms of earthquakes. How can I deal with the emergencies that are specific to earthquakes that are different from other kinds of emergencies? Make sure you have that gear in your kit as well. And remember, we can't predict earthquakes. We never know when they're coming. And that's why we prep. We are preppers because we're preparing to deal with whatever comes our way. Learn more at alaskagranny.com. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.